What I can't get my head around is how these public beheadings and this kind of brutal capital punishment is allowed to happen with the world turning a blind eye and not really...
Well, not just turning a blind eye. I mean, only recently Saudi Arabia was appointed the chair of the United Nations High Commission on Human Rights.
What?
So, yeah, not just turning a blind eye, but apparently applauding Saudi human rights practices.
I think, unfortunately, most governments are inconsistent in their application of principles that they claim to cleave to. Saudi Arabia is a particularly glaring example.
The United Kingdom and Saudi Arabia actually swapped votes for one another in order to make sure that they both got seats on that council.
You sit on the Human Rights Council. You yourself have that role.
Elected, by the way, elected.
So just explain, when you say elected, did the British government support you to get that seat? Were you elected by votes from the British government?
I don't know the answer to that question, but reciprocal agreements of support are very, very common in the United Nations.
That happened then. As far as you understand, Britain supported you to get the seat.
I do not know if that... The balloting is secret. We don't know who voted for us and who didn't. But we received an overwhelming number of votes in that particular election. More than 150 countries, if I remember correctly, voted in favor of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. So it would not be a surprise if our friends in the United Kingdom or other countries in the West would have voted for us.
So the United Kingdom is largely responsible for the fact that Saudi Arabia ended up on the Human Rights Council. And this is something that Prime Minister David Cameron does not really have a response to, does not really have a convincing answer of why the United Nations mission thought that this was acceptable.
Now this sounds a bit squalid for one of the most human rights abusing regimes on earth.
Well, Saudi Arabia is a member of the United Nations, but we completely disagree with them.
Why did you want them inside the human rights?
Well, we completely disagree with them about the punishment routines, about the death penalty, about those issues.
Well, why did we do this deal then? I mean, they're not the right sort of people to be doing any sort of a deal on human rights.
Well, we totally oppose their record in that area.
Why did we do it?
Well, I say we totally oppose their record.
No, but why did we do it?
Well, I've answered the question.
One of the worst human rights record in the world. And I say, says who? Who is the arbitrator? Who is the judge who issues such verdicts? They are unknown organizations or unknown individuals. So that is also a blatant or a flagrant assertion.
There isn't more of a diplomatic response from the West, mainly because of the close economic relationships between Saudi Arabia and governments like the United States and the United Kingdom.
David Cameron just can't escape his Saudi Arabia problem. Every week there seems to be fresh pressure on him to explain Britain's relationship with the kingdom.
The latest outcry comes from Amnesty International, who say they have evidence Saudi Arabia has been committing war crimes in Yemen, and it's British arms that are providing the weaponry that the Saudi kingdom is using.